Welcome back, everyone. Here we are, another great episode of the Bitcoin Business to Business podcast. I have with me a very exciting guest and business partner, Daniel Frank. He's the founder, CEO of Sovreign, and we're going to talk today about the business and how we can help businesses adopt Bitcoin into their strategy. So, Daniel, welcome.
Thank you so much, Joe. We've been looking forward to this for a while. It's exciting finally being here and starting this up. So thank you so much.
Yeah, well, great, Daniel. For those who maybe don't know, I met Daniel not too long ago, like early spring, kind of around the Bitcoin Nashville conference, right around that timeline. Really excited as I met him and I learned his vision for this business and what we can do to really help the adoption overall with Bitcoin. And that was a big theme of the conference. So this is really exciting for me to do this and introduce you to the world and what we can do. So Daniel, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Amazing. Yeah, it was a pivotal moment in my journey building Sovereign to meet Joe. He's been a phenomenal asset to the company and a good friend. So happy to be here now and on this journey together. And a little bit about myself. I'm living here in Denmark, and I come from a background in B2B marketing where I had another firm, uh, which I love doing. I love doing marketing, but once you go down that Bitcoin rabbit hole, it changes your life. It changes your values and your goals, and it changes everything. And I was every day I was not working on a Bitcoin related project. I wasn't being fulfilled. And so I was thinking for a while how I could get into Bitcoin, and Sovereign is really my way to bring this to the world. And yeah, I'm every day I'm working on Bitcoin. It's a good day, so I'm really really happy about where we're at and where we're going.
Yeah, great. So can you just tell us a little bit about Sovereign for the audience? I mean, this is, I think, as I learned about what you wanted to do, I felt like this was a perfect opportunity where we could come into the market where we're not too early or not too late. But I would love to hear your perspective on Sovereign and kind of what you see us doing for businesses.
Absolutely. I mean, Bitcoin is good for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a person, you're a family, you're a company, you're a nation. If you integrate it into your life, it will improve your life because Bitcoin is just money. It's just technology. Money is technology, and Bitcoin is just superior technology, in my opinion. And when you adopt superior technology, you get better results. And the past 15 years of Bitcoin have been very much focused on the individual. Obviously, that is at the end of the day what it's all about. But from a commercial perspective, there's a lot of attention given to retail adoption, to institutions, investment advisors, all these different areas. But when you're looking at the B2B Bitcoin space, it's very nascent. And this was something that I saw as an opportunity. And there's a very good reason why it is so undeveloped, if I can use that word, because like Michael Saylor says, we're really in year one of Bitcoin's corporate adoption. The biggest reason for that is obviously the accounting, where FASB updated the gap accounting rules in the US to now allow for fair value accounting for Bitcoin, whereas previously it was an intangible asset, which might end up impairing your balance sheet. Not to go into a whole lot of details on that, but now it actually makes sense to buy Bitcoin as a company. And I think we're going to see a huge tsunami of companies wanting to get into Bitcoin because every company has a problem. And that's why what I said at the start, every person and company and nation has the same problem. And that's the fact that we have toxic money.
Mhm.
And Bitcoin really solves that problem because it removes the toxicity and the corruption from the equation. And so by plugging your balance sheet into Bitcoin or plugging Bitcoin into your balance sheet, you solve the problem of inflation There's a lot of things it does for you, but every company that's profitable has surplus cash. They need to find something to do with it, and you can't just leave it in the bank account. And buying bonds with negative real yields, there really isn't a good solution until Bitcoin. And so the purpose of Sovereign is to help companies understand Bitcoin and then help them adopt it in a very structured approach, because it's not necessarily easy and there's a lot of uncertainty. But by working with a trusted professional, you can minimize all the risk. You can really eliminate most of the risk and the uncertainty. And that's why Sovereign was born, is both an education company and a consulting company to help companies adopt this new monetary technology.
Yeah, I really love that. Could you expand on the education part? Well, this is something that made
Yeah.
me really excited because I am, when we're talking about anything like Bitcoin adoption, it's we're not looking to sell anyone on anything. We're not trying to convince you that you must buy Bitcoin, must buy it in bulk, you must, do anything. We're not
Yeah.
trying to sell you a car. We're not trying to sell you a house. We're trying to educate you on this process and maybe warm you up to the idea of Bitcoin so that when you're ready to buy, we're here for you. Can you expand on that more?
Exactly. I think this is one of the most important things to talk about here, because we're very confident about Bitcoin, and it's just not really realistic to sell anybody on Bitcoin. If the most humble Bitcoiners claim that it takes anywhere from 100 to 10,000 hours to study it before you appreciate it, how do you expect to convince somebody of that in one conversation, in a cold call or a cold email or any of these traditional sales strategies? It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Bitcoin is both super simple and it's super complicated. Once you understand it, it's the simplest thing in the world. But coming from a traditional fiat perspective from the world we're in, with this whole pseudoscience of Keynesian economics, it is very, very much backwards in a lot of ways. So it takes a lot of education, it takes a lot of time and due diligence and research to understand this. My whole point with that is, we're not looking to sell anybody on Bitcoin. We're not going to be going out knocking on doors and calling people, say, "Hey, you got to buy Bitcoin." That would be a huge waste of energy. We're going to put out the absolute best signal, the best content, the best educational material to help people understand it. And once they're ready to adopt it, they can either do it themselves with the information. Our goal really is to give the information away for free. I mean, it's difficult to charge for information. You can charge for the implementation, but if somebody wants to do it themselves, I would absolutely love to see that. And I would love for them to be self sovereign, do their own custody, all of that. But if you want the hand holding of a professional, it would be a good idea to work with an expert. This is no different from anything else. You can be your own car mechanic, or you can bring it to the shop. I think there's a lot to be said about that whole content and educational system, and really disseminating that information out into the traditional places, the traditional channels where these business owners are. Because Bitcoin Twitter is like a little echo chamber. We're all talking about Bitcoin, but how can we reach this new generation of Bitcoiners? That's really the key.
Yeah, no, I think that's exciting because so my wife is incredibly intelligent, um, far more intelligent maybe than I could ever fathom. Right? She's brilliant. She's in the medical
Awesome.
field. She's in the medical field. She spends most of her life dedicated to healthcare, right, and understanding the latest and greatest with healthcare. She doesn't necessarily have the time right now, really, to take the time to dedicate to learn about Bitcoin. So I
Yeah.
think that's the exciting part of all this is just like other business owners, leaders, Now, entrepreneurs, they're very successful in their business journey, whatever it may be, and they spend a lot of time and they're dedicated to that journey. And so the idea that they can come to us and get some knowledge for free through our
Mhm.
services or through the client portal and ebooks or whatever the case is, and then we can be there to really help them on that next step. Yeah,
Exactly.
as they become comfortable and as they're ready, because they don't. No one really at this point wants to be sold on anything. We want they,
Nobody does.
yeah, they want to come to you when they're ready to buy, when they're ready to make a purchase. Similar to, like, I think we've used the example before. I think one of the most interesting things about, at least in the US, with Tesla, if I'm ready to buy a Tesla, a new one, I go online and I order a Tesla. I'm not haggling with, um, you know, going to a dealership to buy a Tesla and having to negotiate. I'm just ready. And
Yeah,
I think that's the most exciting part about us, where we are there to help the clients and, educate them. I think that's exciting. Can you
100%.
Can you talk about the client journeys? Because what we're not here to do is we're not here to just what we would like to avoid is, we just take on a client and then we forget about you. That is not our method. That is not how we envision this. Can you talk about maybe that client journey, how they come to us and we educate them, and then how we kind of view them as family and they're with us through the entire process?
Absolutely. I think you touched on a bunch of things I to kind of go over the whole thing, you know. We got to be realistic with how much time people have and their aptitude for financial education. You know, if you're a busy executive, it doesn't matter if you're a nurse practitioner, you're a CEO, whatever your normal day-to-day job is. Do you really have the time or even the interest to now dedicate 100 hours to understand this new concept, this new technology, and all the different pitfalls and risks and uncertainties and all that? And for the most part, most people are not interested in that and they don't have the time for it. Especially, it's kind of pernicious in a way, the fiat system, the way it works with the rat race. You're on this treadmill. You got to keep running faster and faster, try to outrun inflation. And so, even though back in the late 20th century, people were saying, "Oh, nobody's gonna have to work because now we got computers, all this productivity. We're just
Yeah.
gonna be relaxing, and the computer's gonna do the work." All of that productivity came, but it all got sucked back to the central bank and to the top 1% through inflation. So we're still having to work harder than ever, and the very thing that could save you from the situation you're in, you don't have time to understand it because of the very thing. It's such a horrible thing. And if we look at somebody, when do most people come into Bitcoin? As during the bull market, right?
Hmm.
As soon as it starts going up, it's in the news, everybody's talking about it. Do you really have the time to now put aside 3, 6, 12 months to study this and go through that whole process? What's the opportunity cost of that? Because Bitcoin is the best performing asset in the world. And if you snooze, you lose. If you're sitting on your hands waiting until you understand everything, you're going to miss out on potentially huge gains. Time in the market over timing the market again. And if you try to do it yourself, I would never recommend that, even to the smartest people, because the crypto industry has really is like a field of landmines. We can say it's easy, just go buy Bitcoin with Swan or River or a trusted Bitcoin only company. But when you come from the outside looking in, you don't understand the difference between BlockFi and Swan.
Hmm.
You don't understand that Unchained and Celsius, that these are not the same companies. And even to sophisticated investors, it's not clear because this is a brand new asset class. It's a brand new industry. And if you'd heed the advice of, I want to say 90% of the people in the crypto industry, you probably got wrecked.
Hmm.
You either got over levered, you got in on some platform, you bought some scammy token, you got rug pulled, the company collapsed because they were doing endless rehypothecation. There's so many ways to go wrong, and there's only one way to go right, and that's to buy Bitcoin and do it right and self-custody it. So to bring it back to your question, it would be ideal to work with a professional to help you avoid all this and cut to the front of the line. And what we want to do with our clients is not just give them a cookie cutter approach like, here's how you do this, this, and that. Take care, wonderful, have a good day, on to the next client. We really want to meet them where they're at, understand their unique situation, both from what kind of company is this? What industry are you in? How is your financial situation? And then, of course, we can recommend somebody to buy Bitcoin. But what's the best way to buy Bitcoin? Should you just dip your toes in, maybe 5, 10%? Should you start bringing something from your sweep accounts over into Bitcoin? Or are you so bullish that you want to go 100% and you're looking to take on leverage, maybe low interest rate debt to buy more Bitcoin? There's so many different things, and we want to tailor an individual strategy for each client, helping them, holding their hand through the whole process. And once they're done and hopefully happy, we'll still be there to help them with any concerns. And my hope is that once you adopt Bitcoin, you start realizing and appreciating all the other things it can do for you. Everything from payments, collateralized loans, how you can integrate Lightning Network, HR solutions with Bitcoin. But there's so many things you can do. And we hope that our clients will want to work with us on these different things because we can help them integrate all of these different things into their company.
Yeah, I think it's exciting because there are. You made a great point. Most people get into Bitcoin because they see number go up, right? That is
It
the reason
is.
they get into. But as you start to be involved in that, I guess, community, or be involved in starting to understand and read Bitcoin, because once you make that first transaction using Bitcoin, or your first buy Bitcoin, it's almost like uh, you start to want to learn more. And it's like,
Oh,
okay, I made the first transaction. That was simple. Oh, okay, let me get more into this. And as you go down that rabbit hole, there are so many different levels to Bitcoin and how this can help your business. For example, one of our good friends and partners with this company, John Gordon, what he's doing with Satoshi Health, where he is helping like primary care clinics, urgent care, dental clinics adopt Bitcoin. And that might sound simple, like, okay, well, they're just accepting Bitcoin now. Great. What difference is that between that and fiat? Well, with the health insurance in the U.S. and the payment plan where insurance companies are paying these primary care offices, it's 2 or 3 months down the road that they're getting
mm,
paid, and even then, it's a fraction of what maybe the service costs. So to make sure they have ends meet, a doctor is seeing patients. I think the average is 5 to 7 minutes, so they're just constantly going through
crazy.
patients.
Yeah.
And with Bitcoin, the offices that are accepting this, they're charging a fair price to the
Hmm.
patient. The patient is paying that immediate settlement for the provider in their office. They're able to, by adopting, see less patients on a given day. So maybe a third of the overall patients. They're seeing them for longer, for 20, 25 minutes instead of 5 to 7 minutes.
Hmm.
So you have less burnout for the doctors, um, better job satisfaction, maintaining the same level of revenue. On the other end, the patients are happier because they're spending time with their doctor and they feel like they care. So you have better job satisfaction, you have better patient satisfaction. And so that is just like one example of how understanding and adopting this process and this Bitcoin into the business has more impact than just, potentially number go up, right? This is overall long term time preference.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's fascinating what can happen when you adopt Bitcoin and where this can go and where this can grow within your industry.
This is I really wanna pull a little bit on what you're saying there, because that is so interesting. One thing is adopting Bitcoin and seeing your treasury grow and your balance sheet. But what happens psychologically and philosophically to people when they adopt Bitcoin, and how it changes the way you can operate your business? I don't want to go into philosophy land here, but the big problem with inflation and for companies is we're seeing this cheapification of products and services, which I think, as you're saying, it's pervasive in every industry. It's easy to see in physical products. You buy a box of cereal and it's 3 times the money it was 10 years ago, but it's 20 or 30% smaller. The company didn't want to do that. They didn't wake up and have a board meeting and say, let's squeeze people out of more money. I'm sure they'd love to, but that's not their main
Yeah,
motivation.
yeah,
They have to, because all of their costs are continually going up. And at the same time, the disposable income of their customers is falling because of inflation, because wages are not keeping up with real inflation. So it changes the whole dynamic of how you do business. And once you, just like when individuals adopt Bitcoin with the lower time preference, they start prioritizing their health, family, their long-term goals, their spirituality, because suddenly they have a sound foundation to stand on and they can build a proper life on that. I think it's the same thing for businesses. Once you're no longer fighting to stay above water and you're on that treadmill, you can look at what can we actually do now? Can I spend more time with patients? Can
mhm.
I improve the quality of my product? Can I see less clients, but I still make the same amount of money? So it completely changes the whole dynamic of doing business, which is something I don't think a lot of people appreciate at this point because it's so new.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it will take some time, and I think maybe the initial, and this is what excites me about what we're doing, as we look to become that trusted entity. Because, and you brought it up earlier, as we start to see it all over the news, especially during a bull run, uh, those who are not in the Bitcoin space will likely search for crypto consultants or
Yeah.
crypto adoption. And no offense to anyone, but we don't, as if you Google crypto adoption, there's a good chance you get somebody with a Bored Ape Yacht Club profile
Yeah.
picture, and who knows what this leads to. Whereas as we continue to grow, as a Bitcoin consulting company, our where I think we gain a lot of strength is our high quality consultants and our partnerships that we have. So if you come to us with the as you're searching to develop your Bitcoin strategy, or if you just want to learn for your business, maybe you want a workshop, maybe you want,
Yeah.
there could be various ways within the Bitcoin industry we can help you, and through a discovery session we can walk someone through exactly what they are trying to adopt within their company. We become that trusted entity. So if you come to us, we're Bitcoin only, and that
Yeah.
our partners are also Bitcoin only.
Yeah.
Um, we're not trying to scam anyone or send you to a scam industry. Whereas if you search, you could get, you really could get any side of crypto, and next thing you know, you're with a company that's trying to sell you a dog coin or something like that. Like, could you talk a little bit about the type of consultants that we do have? And I feel like the ones that we have on our team here understand finance, and if you are a business owner, they speak your language, so to speak. They understand business, and they understand, we don't have necessarily people who are just really great Bitcoiners. We have great Bitcoiners who are also business professionals. Can you
Yes.
delve into that?
Yeah. That was a lot of different great things you said there. The whole there's lots of different ways I can take this. And what I want to speak just slightly to the crypto thing. In my opinion, the most important thing in Bitcoin is to avoid getting wrecked in the crypto. Because if you can just buy Bitcoin and hold it, you're going to outperform 99.9% of everybody. You're even a portfolio with 2% Bitcoin, 98% cash, you're going to outperform the S&P 500. This is not rocket science.
Mhm.
Where people go wrong is they get led astray with all these false narratives and this affinity marketing and, oh, we have the next Bitcoin, go here, earn yield, get these loans here, all of this stuff. And I don't want to discredit anybody or talk bad about these people, but it's like, why would you go to a professional that is in the crypto industry when when they are the problem? You would want to go to, I'm not saying that specific person is the problem, but if they haven't realized that Bitcoin is the most important thing, I mean, they have some work to do. And I'm now talking with hundreds of people, and it always follows the same narrative. I got into Bitcoin, into crypto, wasted my time on that, learned the hard lessons, burnt my fingers. And the more time I spent in Bitcoin, the more I understood that this is what it's all about. I've never even once in my life met anybody that didn't follow that trajectory, that said, "Oh, I got into Bitcoin, and then I was like, nah, screw that. I wanna be in crypto. That's gonna be the world reserve currency, one of those, the dog coins." It
Yeah.
smart people eventually always, it's like a gravity well. It always leads to the same place. The consultants that we have on our team, they understand this. They understand the traditional business environment, and they're able to meet the clients where they're at, not just coming with this whole new Bitcoin digital capital narrative, but they can explain, we understand your problems and your challenges. And then if we can argue their case better than they can and then present the solution, that's the way we want to do. We want to meet them where they're at. And I think we're putting together a very, very strong team on that front.
Yeah, it's been exciting to meet all the individuals that we have so far, and
That's crazy.
yeah, I mean, just the the level of knowledge they come with from both traditional finance, business experience, that is the exciting part because as we've discussed, right, as we're talking to these CEOs, business leaders, entrepreneurs, it is really easy to lose credibility if they're talking above your head or speaking a different language. And so when we developed this team, it's been really exciting to see just the overall knowledge, right? The
Yes,
overall
it's incredible.
talent. Like, it's one thing to be an amazing Bitcoiner, but these are also amazing individuals with incredible backgrounds. Some of them have started, whether it started their own businesses before,
Yeah.
already adopting Bitcoin in their business treasury. And then others, even we've had individuals who had started, Bitcoin essentially clubs within their colleges while they were
Yeah.
there, and it's really exciting. And I would say it's been humbling to meet so many great people because you definitely hear the people who are on like social media who are more well known and obviously great talents, but it just goes to show you how many brilliant people are great Bitcoiners, but maybe in the shadows of just living their life on a daily basis and
Yeah.
just helping their communities.
It
I think that is very exciting.
it's honestly, mind-blowing how how many people are looking to do anything they can to get out of their normal fiat jobs. You
Hmm.
know, we're getting contact from people in very, very high-paying jobs, the top of the corporate ladder, people from investment banking, VC firms, and investment advisors, all these people, but they all tell me the same thing. Once I understood the system I was in, I could no longer participate in it, and I want to dedicate my life to helping the new system. And I think these are amazing people, and they're willing to take a take a leap, and they're not doing it for the money. They're doing it for the mission, and I admire these people a lot.
Yes, there was a conversation I had the other day, and I shared with you that I absolutely loved. It was, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this to help save businesses. Like
Exactly.
that is incredible. It's an incredible way to view it, and I think that is a Bitcoiner mentality where the time preference, the
Yeah,
type of world we see us in, we're not doing this to get rich. In fact, anyone who's entering into Bitcoin with, you know, viewing this as a get rich quick scheme, that's the exact opposite of Bitcoin. This is
it really
something
is.
built to last, something that is, which I think if those of anyone who would visit our website, which I absolutely love, and it's not 100% complete yet, but if you go on there and you look at it, the design of how you've really built the company is something built to last.
That
The
timelessness of going back to a time when things were built to last and things were built to be beautiful, not just efficient.
Right, exactly. And so I think that's very exciting about kind of what we're doing and the type of people we have on the team. Another thing I'm really excited about, and I would love to for maybe you to touch on this, is some of our partnerships. Um,
Yeah,
we've built some really great connections, and if you just touch on maybe a little bit of this, and I can also jump in if you'd like.
for
When a
sure.
client comes to us, maybe touch on some of the partners who we work with.
Yeah, this is very important, and I think it's worth mentioning also what we do and what we don't do, because we're
Mhm.
definitely not a company that wants to do everything. We have to focus on our strengths, and it actually goes back to what you're saying before with the if you're working with a crypto consultant, there's no integrity because you don't know where it starts and where it ends. You know, when you work with us, we're only going to recommend you Bitcoin and trusted Bitcoin companies. For me, this would mean a lot to me if I was coming from the outside, because if you build a trusted relationship with a client and then suddenly you're pitching them, oh, did you know you can get 5% yield at BlockFi? Oh, you should, or whatever the next scam is going to be. This is part of the whole value proposition of Sovereign, is that trust and integrity, that we're not going to lead you astray. And we've tried to build partnerships with the best Bitcoin only companies, especially places that you can buy Bitcoin, places you can store Bitcoin, and other things you can do with it. Companies like Nunchuck, OnRamp, these are great trusted companies that I would feel comfortable recommending a client to work with. And we're not a money transmitter. We don't intend on buying and storing a lot of Bitcoin for people. We will leave that to the companies that are doing very well at that. We really want to be that trusted center in that hub and spoke model where people can approach us and they know we have connections to the rest of the Bitcoin industry. So whatever it is they need, we can get it for. We can connect them with the right people and we can set them up with the right services. Preb, you wanna go a little bit ahead with that? I know you're great with the partnerships. You've really been building some great relationships.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really exciting. I mean, because a lot of businesses are also seeing these partners are seeing what we're doing, and then they are seeing us not as just a Bitcoin consulting company that is, again, like we talked about, we shake their hand, thank you, and send them on their way. What a lot of the companies that we've talked to were really excited about is that we're there for them. We view them as essentially part of a family. As when the clients come to us, that we're always there for them, especially with the free resources. But as you know, the more you dip your toe into Bitcoin, the more your questions continue to grow of what's next. What can we do with this?
Yeah,
And I can kind of compare it to a doctor's office where you go into a doctor to see something for your injured foot. And as you're walking out the door, you realize also my back hurts and now my arm hurts, and and they're like, "Oh, let's go make another appointment." That is how we can here help you grow. And so you look at someone like Nico Smeed, who has his own company, Digital Mining Solutions.
right.
He has helped companies not only establish a mining facility, but he also can help companies establish their mining rigs and configure them to take advantage of any wasted heat energy or hydroelectric power or whatever the case is, so that they can use that Bitcoin that they're generating through mining with the wasted energy that they're producing already to have some additional revenue. So if you're a company that is burning trash and extracting metal, as one of the great examples we like to use from a friend of ours,
Mhm.
you can, that energy that you're producing already to just basically do your job, you can configure a mining rig to take advantage of that heat energy to generate
Yeah,
Bitcoin. So that is just one example. So think of the countless businesses out there that are creating energy for whatever they're doing within their business and whatever form of energy, and that they can convert that energy into Bitcoin and
it's
slowly
ridiculous.
add to a strategy, all for the cost of essentially setting up a rig, and
I
they
mean,
go from there, right?
I kind of want to actually pull on that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
Yeah,
this is
no.
just something that is so fascinating, and it's something we want to. Our main focus right now is the balance sheet integration, but we want to start talking with energy companies and educating them on this because I mean, the figures anywhere from 30 to 50% of all energy globally is lost. It's either just not consumed or it's just sent into the ground or whatever. It's Bitcoin mining could benefit any energy producer, whether that's vented methane gas, it's renewable energies. There's plenty of places with hydroelectric dams where they're generating a lot of energy, but there's nobody to buy it at that
Mhm,
specific time, or perhaps it's located geographically in an area where it's not easy to supply the energy. If you show up with a mobile mining rig and you connect that, you're suddenly giving them another revenue stream that could potentially be millions of dollars for very, very little work and risk. And there are so many opportunities here. But again, the main challenge is the education. So
mhm.
we want to get in talks with these companies and then match them up with the best companies to help them do that. For example, digital mining solutions
Mhm.
and others, so they can actually help them do this.
Yeah. No, it's exciting. And then we look at
It's
everything from
crazy.
what Knee Howdy, what they're doing with James Wong, who's a pharmacist, and
Yeah,
his his method where you can get Bitcoin rewards by buying your medical prescriptions using one of their cards. I already talked about John Gordon, Satoshi Health, Bitcoin Well, which is more a buying platform, but they also sell Bitcoin ATMs, especially within Canada.
mhm,
They can help you. They have a system where if you want to buy Bitcoin, you kind of, depending on how much you want to use, they have a platform for that and potentially a white glove approach for you if you want
yeah,
to spend a certain amount. I mean, SAS Mining, who's doing renewable energy mining in Wisconsin and Paraguay. So you're mining. They're basically doing all the mining for you. You just set up the rig, or you buy the rig. They set it up for you. They maintain it, and
yeah.
you pay the energy costs. And they're
It's fast.
significantly lower than if you were to plug them into your outlet at the house because they're using hydroelectric power and renewable energy. So I mean, this is just an example. Now, of course, on ramp, and we would love to partner with Swan River and others as well. But even if, now here's the part where I think it's really important, and I want to express this. Even if we're not a partner with, for example, Swan, right? But a business wants to go through and establish an IRA and always, anything like that, we're not going to tell you to not go with anyone. If you want to do this and that's what you're looking for, and maybe we're not haven't not established a partner yet with them, we would still put you in the hands of the right people. I mean, Unchained and
Or
Swan are great for that. We don't have a partnership yet. However, these are trusted companies, and we feel that you'd do best with them. I think that builds a lot of credibility with us, and it goes back to us not trying to
100%.
sell anything. We're educating and being there for our clients.
Yeah, even the fact that we don't claim to be the best at everything. We're not saying come to us, we'll educate you, we'll give you the best spot deal for Bitcoin with the best spreads, and we'll help you store it. We have the best custody. We're not the best at everything. How could we ever claim to be that? This industry is so broad. We know what we're good at. Once you're ready to take a step, we're going to connect you with the absolute best of the best in the business, and you can choose whomever you want to work with, but I think our recommendation can be valuable due to so much uncertainty in the industry.
For sure. Well, Daniel, we've been talking for about 40 minutes now. We probably could talk about this for another couple hours because I think that's also been a thing that's been interesting as we've done all the interviews. Is you could, when you talk to other passionate Bitcoiners, you can literally talk for hours
Yeah.
and just it just
Yes.
keeps going. It's hard to stay on a certain timeline. But
Really.
before we wrap up, I just would like to open it up to you if there's anything that you would like to maybe let our potential clients know, or people who are listening, anything you'd like to know about a business that you'd like to share.
That's a good question. Nothing particular. I would just end this by saying, if you're interested in Bitcoin, don't just buy Bitcoin, study it. Invest in your knowledge. Because again, if you just go ahead and buy it, you're going to be glued to the screen, you're going to be worried, you're going to be falling for all this FUD. And if you end up selling it like I did back in 2017, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. I wish I had spent some more time educating myself, and I wish somebody had been there to have a little hand on my shoulder and say, "Listen, don't spend your time on that. Neo and out of all these cryptos I invested in back in 2016, they're all either gone or they're gone 99% in Bitcoin terms." If somebody back then had just told me, "Listen, focus, stay on the path, figure out Bitcoin and keep your eyes on the prize." That would be my advice to people. Study Bitcoin and work with the experts and stay in Bitcoin only because
Yeah.
you're going to get burned. It's just leave that to the amateurs and the traders and yeah, invest for the long term.
Yeah, that's great. And if you are interested in this, and you're a business leader, you're a doctor, a nurse, or you are some kind of other very successful individual, regardless of where you're at, don't feel that when you come to us that we are judging, right? We all, like, for everyone who feels like, hey, I wish I would have bought back in 2010, 11, whatever, 21, like, a lot of people probably would have sold as soon as it went up,
Yeah, I don't
unless they
think about
educate.
that.
So we
It's
understand, and one of our biggest values that we have in this company is humility. And
oh yeah,
so when you come to us, there's no judgment. There's no, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? We understand that you were very successful in other walks of life, and that you just didn't have the time to dedicate to understanding Bitcoin. And we all get there when we get there. And so when you come to us, you know, just know that we are there for you. We're not there to judge you. We're there to help you on your journey. And I think I think this is one of my favorite parts of things that you said to me is, um, this isn't just about doing a transaction. This is a journey. This is a client
mm,
journey.
it
Because
is.
once you step into this, we're there with you. We grow with you, and we continue your education process throughout.
Exactly.
And
And
so,
and and let's be honest how early we are too. Bitcoin is around $60,000. I think the fair value for a global digital capital monetary system that the entire world could use for 1,000 years is at least $1 million to
mhm,
$10 million. That might be bullish, but we're so early. If you get in now, anybody that got in the past 10 years, they went through their trials. And if they
mhm,
held on to it, they earned it. You better
mhm.
believe that because it was not easy. We're still early and the biggest upside is still ahead of us. I really truly believe that.
Great. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for coming on. I think this is very valuable for anyone who's listening to kind of get an inside look on who we are, what we're looking to build our company to, and that we're here for you for your needs. So, Daniel, thank you very much. And
Thank you, Joe.
it's been absolute honor the last few months working with you and growing Sovreign together. And I'm excited for where we
Likewise.
take this. All right.
It's been
All
a
right.
it's been a pleasure. Look forward to the future. I'm very excited.
Awesome. All right, Daniel. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.